As we learned, Roots Group is kind of like General Motors, and this is something special that we're going to be talking about on MariTIME Machines. And again, it's all about the connections. And it's not just about the past and the present and the future, but the people who have a passion for their vehicles, who love to tell the stories, who love to do the research, who love to help me do my job. And that's why we're going to be singing about the Singer here in Dartmouth today. Rod, we've heard about the Tiger. This is the Gazelle. Tell me a little bit about when this car came to be a part of your life.
I got this car in 2004. Sold my 68 Camaro, and after I sold it, I regretted it and thought, well, I'm going to replace it. So got on the internet, did some research, found this car, fell in love with it. It's been mine for 18 years now.
So do you know much about the history of this car? Where was this car first purchased? How did it end up here in this part of the world?
Well, it was sold originally in Creston, British Columbia. This fellow bought it brand new, and he kept it until 1987 when he died, and he willed it to his granddaughter. And she married a guy from Idaho, never drove it, and I discovered it in 2004. And what's interesting, the granddaughter never took it out of her granddad's name, so I'm officially the second owner of the car. Technically, yeah.
Very exciting. So now that you know that, did anything come with it? I'm always fascinated by, you know, when a car is new and it stays that long with one person, what people hang on to.
All the registration from importing it into the States, it included an obituary of the granddad that bought it new, and a few other pieces of information. Was there ever a restoration done on it? This has been a rolling restoration. When I got this car, it looked really good in pictures, but up close, it was ridden hard and put away wet. I had to do the front seats, new top, new paint. I switched engines. The little one that was in it worked really well, but just didn't have the power for the type of driving I was planning to do with this car, which includes long trips into the States and as far away as Ontario.
Now, UK based, but it's left-hand drive, so it's built for North American or perhaps some other European countries where they don't drive on the left.
Yeah, well, most of the British car companies, we're shipping cars to Europe, which are, most of the countries in Europe are left-hand drive, and they also shipped a lot of cars to North America, which is left-hand drive. But all these cars, whether it's a Sunbeam or a Singer or an MG or a Triumph, most of them will have all the holes and attachments already there, so that they'll look on the sheet, oh, this one's going to North America, so they move everything over to the left-hand side. Oh, this one's staying in England, so they put all the stuff on this side, because the holes and everything are already there.
I'm looking at this, obviously the design of the grille and the badge, this is part of what this car came with. Yeah. Now I'm looking at this, and I do see it on other vehicles. What are these? Where did they come from, and what are they on the front for?
Well, this one here is the British Automobile Touring Association of Nova Scotia. It's the local club that I belong to. There's about roughly 200 members, and quite an active club, and some beautiful cars in that. This one down here is the Roots Group Car Club that I also belong to. This car club is actually based in Australia, and I guess mainly it represents all the brands. The Hillman, the Sunbeam, and the Singer are all represented on that badge. And this wonderful badge here is for my wife. My wife's name is Lindsay.
And did you have it made? Did you find it, or?
You know what? I was at a car show, and this guy at the flea market part of the car show had a big table full of different badges, and that one was there, and I had to have it.
Kind of like hat pins. Sometimes you got to collect it just because it says something special to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I was really struck by this emblem, and to me it looks almost sci-fi.
That is a representation of a gazelle, yeah. The horns, obviously, the head, and I guess they had to stylize it somewhat to get it to lay flat on a hood.
Now, I want to talk about the engine, and I'd like to get you to pop the hood, because this is quite exciting to see what was from the factory. And you did, as mentioned, make a few changes. This is a different engine than what was in it, but for the most part, this is a very compact and tight space.
Yeah, it's almost the identical looking engine to the one that was in it, except it's a bigger displacement. The carburetor has been changed. This is a Weber 3236 carburetor with the matching air filter, and that makes what I believe it works a lot better than the original carburetors, which were quite worn. And I've changed the brake.
I was going to say that is not.
That is not stock.
That looks like it's safe.
That I just put on a few months ago before my trip, and I'll tell you, I now have brakes. It works really well. But most of the rest of it is completely stock, except a little bit of extra wiring over here for things like the fog lights, four-way flashers, and I also have one for the electric fuel pump that I installed.
Well, and that's funny because an electric fuel pump would not have been in 1959.
No. The reason I changed it is the Weber carb likes the constant pressure of the electric fuel pump rather than the mechanical one. And one of the neat things about it is my wife and I were going to New Hampshire. Up around St. John, I was thinking, my gosh, the car is working so well. And no sooner did the words come out of my mouth and it just, quit. Yeah. Absolutely quit. So after just a couple of minutes, I discovered the electric fuel pump had crapped out.
Oh, right, okay.
So that was okay, because right here, I have a spare one mounted, and all the hoses and everything are mounted, cut to length. So 15 minutes later, you're driving down the road again.
Back on the road again.
Yeah.
Now, there was something else I noticed in the front of this car. There is a hole in the bumper.
Yeah.
And
in the trunk, there's a crank.
There is actually a crank. So this car came in 1959
with a crank,
with an ability for people to. Now, some of the cars I've noticed, some of the antique cars have that hole, but they were never really designed to be cranked over that way.
Yeah, I guess when they made that change, they didn't change the bumper, or maybe they had a whole bunch pre-made, and they thought, well, we might as well use up stock and make more when we need to, but use up the old stock first.
It says Singer, and people might make an assumption that it has something to do with the company that manufactures machines. That is, it's to put pieces of material. What do they call that? I don't want to say the word.
Stitching.
Are
you thinking of the sewing machine?
Oh, I didn't want to say that, but
no,
that's what I'm thinking.
Well, actually, I don't mind people asking me if there's a connection between the two, because that's a natural assumption. Yep. But when people come up and look at the car and they say, "Is that a sewing machine?" that really gets me. Yeah. Or they say, "Does that have a sewing machine motor in it?" Really?
Okay, so you have to do a little educating, and I'm sure, like me, there are people who have no idea about the company, the manufacturer, or its history.
No, a lot of guys will come up and say, "I've never heard of a Singer," and I say, "Well, have you heard of a Hillman?" "Oh yeah, I know. Heard of lots of Hillmans," and they stopped production in about 1970. Chrysler wound down. Chrysler bought the Roots Group company in the late 60s and wound it down pretty quickly after that.
So many of the manufacturers that had been so large for so many years just kind of came to an end with this.
The number of British car manufacturers in England at one time, the list, it's got to be a couple hundred names long. Right. And who's left? Morgan? I don't know if Rolls-Royce are still made in England or not, but there's a tag where it was made, Coventry, England.
And isn't there somewhere else on the car that it shows Coventry?
Yeah.
Oh, on the plate.
On that tag up there, a big tag. Yeah, with a spare key screwed to it.
Really?
Yeah, that's the spare key.
And the crank, so you're good even if the battery's dead. Oh, that's fantastic. And you must have added, you add an oil pressure gauge or something?
No, the oil pressure gauge was there.
Right.
The line broke on me one time, and the easiest way to fix it was putting that union on there
Well, it's not brakes, so you don't have to worry about it not being safe.
Brakes, but oil pressure is pretty important too.
That's true. Yep. I want to talk a little bit about the top. In fact, I think you have a job for us.
Okay, I'm going to put the top down, or the hood down.
Okay. We'll do that.
Bonnet.
Bonnet. You're on it.
All right.
The bonnet.
If I can get you to go to that side of the car.
So here it is. This is a convertible, and it has some other features. You said it's a three-way top. Is that what they call it?
Three-position top.
Three-position top.
Obviously, this is position 1 where it's fully closed.
Yep.
Position 2 is when it's all the way down, fully open.
Okay.
But there's a third position called Coupe de Ville.
Coupe de Ville?
Coupe de Ville.
That sounds copywritten.
I didn't make it up. It's in the manual.
Okay.
And what it does, the hood or the top folds back to here.
Okay.
And allows you to drive that way. And we can do this in a couple of minutes if you give me a hand.
Okay. So what do I do?
Reach inside. You'll feel a round knob.
Yep.
Spin that all the way.
Will it come out? Does it come out? Okay,
It'll
got it.
stop.
I'm all the way there. Yep.
Okay. Now, just push in right there.
Oh, just like that.
Just like that. About in the middle, pull up the top, push her back.
Yep.
Now just in the middle, fold it there. Very good.
Oh, right to the top. There we go.
Now you take this strap.
If I get that. I don't know if I can get it that far there. I didn't quite get it in the right spot.
Well, that's okay. Just scrunch her down and she'll go.
Okay. Snapped.
And we can drive like this. I have the back window open and a breeze will go right through and
Fantastic.
we can go for a spin.
You keep telling me this isn't a sewing machine, but look at that. What I found in the dash. Manual. Oh.
Well, I use the manual here to show people the difference between a sewing machine and a car.
Illustrated, of course.
Illustrated.
No, but okay, so what's the deal with the sewing machines on the back thing there?
Well, my back window is in that. It's like a diaper to keep it from being scratched and wearing out prematurely. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I had a shirt made with this same material, with the sewing machine.
Yeah.
And I only wear it at car shows. But I had some material left over, enough to make a diaper for the window, so I did. But you know what? Hardly anybody notices it. Or if they do, they never say anything.
Oh, they're just being polite, because I saw your reaction when I even suggested it was a sewing machine. Oh, well, this is awesome. And you still have the manual for it.
Yes, I do.
And okay, so it's not even close.
No.
They're different sizes, just like the car and the sewing machine.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
I mean, they're both the same color.
True.
But, you know, this tells you how to put your foot hammer on. And we don't have a foot hammer in the...
No, you just thing you put your foot on and make it go fast. Fantastic. Now, in the middle of the steering wheel, there is, it looks like Mahone Bay. It looks like the three churches of Mahone Bay, but it's not.
It does, doesn't it? But it's the Three Spires of Coventry where the car was built. And it has the same logo on the trunk wheel as well.
Smooth as glass.
It is, isn't it? It rides surprisingly well for an old 59.
Now, most of the people I talk to get their driver's license as soon as possible. So when did that happen for you? When did you get your driver's license?
Oh, about 5 minutes after midnight when I turned 16.
And what were you driving then? What was the car?
I took my test in a 1964 Pontiac Parisienne.
And that car belonged to whom?
That was my dad's car.
Okay.
And maybe a year later, no, it wasn't that long, I had a motorcycle before I even got my license. I had a motorcycle and went on to own 12 more after that first one. And then at about a year after I got my license, I got a Envoy Epic, little two-door blue British car.
Right.
And I guess that was my first introduction to British cars, was that little Envoy Epic.
That was the bug that bit you.
I guess it was. Yes, it was. And shortly after I drove that into the earth, destroying it, I bought a Austin Mini Cooper.
Okay.
1275cc. And that car was just so much fun. It was like it was practically a race car.
Well, as we do here on Maritime Machines, we travel around and tell stories and find out more. It's a 1959 Singer Gazelle Series 3, and we're going to go for a quick ride here with Rod. Let's go. So we're sitting here, and okay, the cluster's in the middle. You mentioned they were selling these cars in Europe and here in North America, and obviously, if you're going to have the steering wheel over here, you don't want to have to move everything.
No, and it made it so easy to do because, just as you said, everything's in the middle. All you have to do is move the wheel and the clutch and brake and gas, and all the attachments and holes are already put in the firewall, so it was an easy thing to do. All they'd do is make two different pieces of wood. And then
I'm looking at the types of gauges. Obviously, there's a lot of information here. Everything still work?
Everything works great.
And speedometer, odometer?
Speedometer, odometer, fuel gauge, oil gauge, amps, and water. They all work as they should.
And I see 72,490 miles?
Miles, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what's originally on this. It wasn't 172?
No, it's not 172. Typically, these British cars, particularly convertibles, didn't get driven very much. And this one has slightly more than the 72 showing, because I had to change speedometers when I changed the transmission.
Oh, okay.
And the one out of the Sunbeam that I got the drivetrain from was showing roughly the same mileage, but a little bit less.
So your dad owns this Impala, and I'm sure it was a great car, but was your dad a car person?
My dad was a master mechanic.
Okay.
But he really wasn't into cars other than for transportation.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
So where did your love of the vehicle come from? Where did that begin?
Well, I used to help my dad a lot when he was working on his various cars.
Okay.
And I guess I got the bug there, just helping him and learning from him. I've never gone to any trade school to learn any of the mechanics or anything. It's just what I picked up.
Right. And you were just at a car show, as you mentioned, not too long ago.
I drove to Oakville, Ontario with this.
And how did you make out at the show?
I guess I did pretty well at the show. It was the Toronto Triumph Club has an annual show this time of year at Bronte Creek Provincial Park, and they get in the range of 1,100 cars or so. Yeah, it's the largest British car show in North America. Sunbeam Club out of the States called Tigers East, Alpines East, tied into that show, so there were actually two shows in one. And when I registered my car in both car shows, so I ended up with 2 long-distance awards.
For coming the furthest away?
Well, driving the furthest.
Right.
There were cars farther away, but they were brought in on a trailer. So I got 2 awards for that. Then I got the Toronto Triumph Club second place award for my class of cars, and then the Sunbeam group, I got the first place for cars in my group.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always fun to come home with a little bit of hardware.
Tell me about the car that got away, because there's got to be at least one.
Well, there were 2 that I really wish I'd kept. One was the Mini Cooper, which is worth a small fortune nowadays. And I had a 68 Firebird overhead cam.
I've never seen anything like this. This is a combination.
This here, you push it in, it's a light. And then there's a little switch here. If you push it, it becomes a cigarette lighter.
Wow.
Actually, this is from marine use.
Okay.
They use it a lot on boats. So
That's quite clever.
And since I didn't have an inside light, I thought, man,
Yeah, that works.
that'll work good.
That's not original, that's something that was added on.
No, I've added that.
Right.
As I have with this panel down here, that's for plugging in your cell phone, your GPS,
And somebody's nurse's watch.
and a nurse's watch. That's to replace this.
Okay. 5-speed, there's figure, is it an H pattern?
It's a 4-speed.
Yep.
The regular H pattern.
Yep. And anything special to get into reverse?
Pull it back.
Right, straightforward.
And
straight ahead, oh, actually straight behind. Back before electric starters, it was manual. And this is a 1959.
Yeah.
And obviously the technology's the same. For some reason, they kept this in here. For some reason, they kept this as part of the design.
And I don't know the reason behind that, but it certainly has an electric start with a key, but why they kept both, I don't know. And but let's try it, see if we can get her going.
Give her a hook, or a crook, or a spin. So going into the end of the crankshaft, you find where it catches. It's not like a wind-up toy.
Sometimes.
There it is.
Now, just let me double check to make sure I got it in neutral,
Yeah.
and the key is on.
Okay. And it's clockwise, right?
Yeah.
Is it ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Oh, it came out.
As it should.
That's not gonna go.
Okay. Now that you've got it warmed up for me,
Okay. There it is. You beat me. You've done it before. Congratulations. Yeah, the key's a lot easier.
yeah. But you know, yeah, I suppose if you got used to this, you could do it. And many people did for a lot of years, so it does work. I enjoyed every minute of it, Sheldon. Thanks so much for picking me in this car. Or maybe you picked the car and I just came along with it.
Well, it's a package deal from what I hear.
Yeah, it is.